Unlike some who feel they're either unable or incapable of making the decision as to who would best serve that, like I said before, I don't have a problem with that. It is through the election process we can learn about and decide who would best serve that position. And the voters, not whoever the mayor is, makes that decision. Thank you.
Ms. Rutherford?
Okay. I've talked to you individually. For the record, Marlene Rutherford, I think y'all know me. I've talked to you individually, some of you, and I've sent all of you emails concerning this position or what you're about to do. I kind of broke it down for the county treasurer, county clerk, tax collector, although the county clerk does collect certain fees. The city treasurer, city clerk, and who collects the taxes for the city, which is the city clerk, and then the ABC administrator. The county treasurer is a statutory position, and it's required to be appointed by the fiscal court every 4 years by June 30th to a 4-year term, and takes the oath of office on July the 1st after the appointment. The eligibility requirements at the time of appointment is to be a citizen of Kentucky, at least 25 years of age, and obtained a baccalaureate level degree from a regionally accredited institution or higher education. They take the constitutional oath. The county clerk, or I'll go over to the city treasurer. Currently, this is a joint position, city clerk, city treasurer. When I went back and looked at the current ordinance, it looks like the city treasurer position was established as an elected position back in 1929. And pursuant to ordinance, which you all can do, it was amended in 1957 to include the position of city clerk. Eligibility requirements, I assume, came out of the statute, which was 21 years of age, reside in the city for 1 year prior to election, qualified city voter, and to reside in the city for the term that they serve. And the bond for the clerk treasurer, as it sits now, is set by you, and is the city clerk has to pay for that herself. It's not paid for by the city like the county is, or county may be. The county clerk is a constitutional office, elected every 4 years to a 4-year term. Eligibility is 21 years of age, and a citizen of Kentucky, and resides in the state for 2 years and 1 year in the county that they're running in. Your tax collector on the county side is the sheriff, and of course the county clerk does collect fees. The city clerk, that I said was combined in 1957, began in 1958. Those two positions were rolled together, city clerk / treasurer. I've got a little bit of a problem or issue or question, I guess. The eligibility requirements, I assume at that time, was 21 years of age. Currently, the mayor, if you're going to run for mayor, it's 21 years of age. Now it's 18 years of age to run for council. So, you know, if it stays as an elected position, which term or which age are you going to go by? It's one of the questions. And then the ABC administrator that you all assumed or gave the responsibilities to the city clerk is a non-elected position, and you gave them to an elected position, which I think is contrary to law. KRS 18A-080 requires the city clerk to be a non-elected office. It provides that each appointed and elected city office shall continue until abolished by ordinance, which this was established by ordinance back in the 1900s. No abolition of any elected office shall take effect until expiration of the term of the current office holder. No ordinance abolishing any elected office shall be enacted later than the 240 days, which we all have discussed. Existing elected officers may be continued, but no existing elected office may be changed. KRS 241-160 requires an ABC administrator that's not an elected office. And Section 160 of the Kentucky Constitution deals with municipal officers and fiscal officers, and it addresses a second-class city, which we operate as a second-class city, basically. tax structure's not, it's fourth class, but everything else pretty much is second class. And that provides that it's an elected office, which is a 4-year term, and you can't replace yourself. So, the city clerk and city treasurer are two separate and distinct offices that for many years ago were combined for whatever reason. The two offices were established separately by ordinance, and they should be addressed or dismantled separately, in my opinion. There must be checks and balances when dealing with taxpayer money. As you can see, there are checks and balances in the county established by the state constitution and state laws. And Mr. Lesby, being a banker, I think you understand those checks and balances, that they need to be there. If this ordinance is passed as written, you lose your option to allow for those checks and balances because the elected office was grandfathered in. The city clerk, treasurer, ABC administrator will not only be issuing ABC licenses, enforcing the laws and ordinances relating to alcoholic beverages in the city, but collecting, depositing, and dispersing monies from the city treasury. And I think this opens up the door for fraud and abuse. I support the appointment of the city clerk or a position of city clerk ABC administrator. However, I cannot support abolishing both the city clerk and the city treasurer positions or this proposed ordinance as written. I would like to suggest that you amend the proposed ordinance to make the city clerk an appointed position and exercise your option of allowing the city treasurer to continue to be elected by the people, as was established by ordinance in 1929, and to set the qualifications you see fit over and above the minimum qualifications currently allowed for an elected city position, using the Constitution and state laws as a guide. In the event no one should choose to run for that elected office, to provide for the appointment of that position for a 4-year term by the council, to report to the council, and you're elected by the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us down to the reason we're here tonight. We're here to hear the second reading of an ordinance to make the city clerk an appointed position rather than an elected position. So, ma'am, would you read the ordinance?
An ordinance changing the office of clerk treasurer from an elected to an appointed position and amending section 2-111 subsection C of the Code of Ordinances to establish the position of appointed city clerk treasurer and to change the title of other positions. Summary. Section 1 amends the Georgetown Code of Ordinances to eliminate the elected office of city clerk treasurer. Section 2 states the purpose of Article 3, Division 4, as establishing the appointed office of city clerk treasurer. Section 3 establishes the full-time appointed office of city clerk treasurer and sets forth requirements for oath and appointment. Section 4 amends the qualifications for the office of city clerk treasurer to permit the city council to establish additional qualifications by order or ordinance. Section 5 amends section 211 subsection C to remove elected office of city clerk treasurer and add appointed office of city clerk treasurer and change the title of positions in public works and sanitation. Section 6 provides that any and all existing ordinances inconsistent with this ordinance are repealed. Section 7 provides that if any section, subsection, sentence, clause, or phrase of this ordinance is held unconstitutional or otherwise invalid, such infirmity shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of this ordinance. Section 8 provides that this ordinance shall become effective upon passage and publication. The full text of this ordinance is available for examination in the City Clerk's Office, 100 4th Street, Georgetown, Kentucky, 40324, or at www.georgetown.gov. Introduced and publicly read the first time October 28, 2013. Publicly read the second time November the 4th, 2013.
Motion for approval? Ben? We had a second, Mr. McEwen. Now, I know we chose last Monday night to have a discussion. I will give you an opportunity tonight to add any comments you might have before we take the roll call vote.
Well, Mayor, real quick, I understand my name's down as a sponsor. It wasn't last Monday night, and I wasn't asked to sponsor it the second time around.
Wasn't aware of that, Marvin.
Well, it wasn't on the last meeting. I wasn't on, Brad was the sponsor last meeting, and my name wasn't on as a sponsor. And I wasn't asked to be on this time.
I only have Brad's name on here.
Okay. Well, while I'm talking, the reason I sponsored it the first time around, Tracy is very deserving for a raise, definitely. I agree with that 100%. And through the conversation that we had during meetings and our between council and the attorney, I was under the impression that we could not give her a raise without it being appointed. And I don't know how many other council members felt the same way, but that's how I took it until last meeting, and we were told that we can give her a raise. And that was the main reason I sponsored the ordinance, because she deserves a raise. And I thought that was the only way that we could give her a raise is to appoint it. And that's all I got to say.
But any raise given to that position would not take effect until the...
Appointed or elected.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Or
Understand.
elected.
I understand that.
Any other comments?
Mayor, last Monday night, I know there was a vote 5-3 to have a special call meeting tonight. And I was one of the 5 votes that voted to go ahead and proceed with the meeting tonight. And the primary reason I did that is I think this needs to be resolved, one way or the other. It either passes tonight or it fails. And can't speak for everybody else, but I'll respect, if it passes, then I'll respect that. If it doesn't, I'll respect that. But one way or the other, I think we need to
Absolutely,
get it
that's the
resolved.
process we have here.
I think we need to get it resolved, because I do think, whether others agree or not, that we have more pressing issues out there that we need to address. And this needs to be resolved. And I've gone back and forth on this one many times. I have. There's an argument to be made on both sides of this. There really is. And shame on me for not paying closer attention, and I'll be the first one to admit I completely missed it, because I wasn't aware that the city clerk could get a raise, or could be eligible for that pay raise in the next term.
This was stated by the city attorney.
And that's
I don't
why I
know.
said I
Yeah.
missed it, and I don't think I'm the only one that did miss that. But again, I'm not speaking for others. But I think one way or the other, we need to get it resolved tonight.
There will be. Any other comments? Roll call vote, ma'am.
Mr. Lesby?
Yes.
Mr. McEwen?
Yes.
Mr. Showalter?
No.
Mrs. Tingle Sames?
No.
Mr. Penn?
Yes.
Mr. Singer?
No.
Mrs. Tackett? Mr. Thompson?
No.
3-5. Motion for adjournment?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.